Hey guys, Josh here today. We're here to discuss the breaking news in the world of rallying that Volkswagen Motorsport will be pulling out of the WRC at the end of 2016. This means they will not be on the 2017 grid despite testing and producing and pouring millions of pounds into a car for next year. They're not actually going to be competing in the World Rally Championship, which is a great shame. We've got three drivers now, of course, Ogier, Mikkelsen and Jari-Matti, of course, without seats. And of course we've got this developed car which is not going to be used next year by the looks of it, which is a major shame, major waste of money, and really a big missed opportunity. Really, it's a massive shame for both everyone that works at VW and everyone involved in the WRC. I mean, this means that we're only going to have 4 manufacturers this year, when it was all kind of set up for a big 5 manufacturer showdown, which is the most manufacturers we're going to have for a very long time. Unfortunately, no, now we are just back to 4 manufacturers, and sadly we will not get that magic 5, which of course we haven't seen for quite a few years. We're going to be talking about where we think Latvala, Mikkelsen and Ogier are going to be ending up next year. Of course, none of them have a drive for next year, of course, after VW have just pulled the rug from under them. I mean, I believe they all had offers from other teams, particularly these, of course, Sebastien Ogier, but they were all loyal to VW and they all had contracts for next year. VW even had a contract until, I believe, 2019 to compete in the WRC, but clearly they've managed to get out of it. I mean, this is not a decision from the motorsport team, but from the guys at the very head of the Volkswagen group. So you know, it's definitely, I think, a financial choice. Of course, it is beneficial financially, you know, for them to leave the sport. I mean, they don't gain that much really from being in the WRC. I mean, of course, they are very successful, but still, you know, it's just not really worth it for them to carry on in the WRC, which is a great shame. I mean, it's not the fault of the WRC, it's just a kind of a financial move, really. I mean, Volkswagen and Audi, really, of course, that whole group has been pulling out of a lot of motorsport recently. Of course, we saw Audi out of LMP1, and this is very much a follow-up to that, so it's a big shame for VW, but and a major shock really as well. I mean, I know Audi pulled out, of course, of LMP1, and I was kind of you know, expecting VW to announce their retirement from WRC possibly at the end of 2019 when they actually had a contract to, but no, they're pulling out all of a sudden at the end of 2016, not even in the end of 2017. So a very similar situation to LMP1, where Audi are just kind of, and VW, of course, in this case, are just leaving their drivers without seats. And it's a major shame for the WRC in particular, because of course the next season starts in January, and we've got Latvala, Mikkelsen and Ogier without seats. And I really hope we do see all 3 of those back in the WRC next year. Sebastien Ogier, of course, the reigning 4-time world champion, he's fallen out a bit with the sport, you know, this year. Of course, he still won the championship this year, and VW have still won the Constructors' Championship, but he's had a lot of you know, complaints to think about this season, and really, of course, the running order being the main talking point in the WRC at the moment. I really do hope they fix that, and if it means that they fix that so that Ogier sticks around, then I definitely think it will be worth it. I mean, the road you know, running rules definitely need a bigger rethink. I mean, it's a pretty simple solution. You basically just get the top 12 in the championship, you reverse it, and that's a running order for the first day, and then the second and third are determined by the results, and you know, the top 12 in the particular rally, you reverse it, that's a running order for Saturday. Top 12, you know, reverse it, add on a couple of the high profile retirements that have come back for the day 2 or 3, and then it's pretty simple really. You have your running order there. It's a pretty simple solution that many people have suggested, and I think that's the one they really do need to go with. But you know, they might just stick with the old one, which would be a great shame. And if we lost Ogier from WRC, that would be a major loss for the championship. We would get a new winner, of course, but I think it would be really cool to see Ogier in a different team and having that head-to-head battle with, you know, Nerville at Hyundai and of course Chris Meek at Citroën. And then where would Ogier go if he was to stay in the WRC? That is the question. Now, Hyundai, of course, they're pretty much you know, full. I don't think there's any chance really of Ogier going to Hyundai. Citroën is definitely a possibility now, although they do have 3 drivers contracted for next season. Craig Breen and Stefan Lefebvre, you know, they possibly could share a seat, or one of them could possibly even be turfed out, which would be a major shame. And I think it would probably be Stefan Lefebvre, to be honest, because of course Craig Breen has, I think, been a lot stronger this season. So I think it's probably going to be Meek, Breen, and then possibly Sebastien Ogier coming in. Lefebvre maybe just doing selected rounds or filling in, or, you know, doing a few rounds, and then Breen doing a few the other rounds. Basically, Breen and Lefebvre possibly sharing a car. Chris Meek, I'm sure, will get a full full campaign. He's already been promised that, and I think they will definitely follow through on that. And of course, Sebastien Ogier, if he was to come in, would be a fantastic team leader. All the teams are going to want Sebastien Ogier. They're really going to be vying for his signature. He would be a major credit to any team. But of course, Citroën do have those 3 drivers contracted to their team, so it is a bit of an awkward situation really for Citroën, but I think they definitely really need to go for Sebastien Ogier. Of course, Ogier and Malcolm Wilson have quite a bit of a friendship going back quite a few years. Of course, he nearly signed for the M Sport team before, of course, signing for Skoda and, of course, VW in 2013. So possibly we could see him at M Sport. That would be a bit of a turn up for the books, really, possibly alongside fellow countryman Eric Camely, of course, who has already been signed. Current driver Matt Osberg looks to be moving on, possibly to Toyota. Then, of course, there is Toyota as well coming into the sport, of course, next year, returning as a full works manufacturer for the first time in quite a while. I think, is it 2000, I think, or 1999 they last competed, just off the top of my head. So great to see that Toyota are coming back into the WRC. In terms of classic WRC, they probably are one of my favourite teams from the late 90s. So, you know, him and Toyota and Carlos Sainz was one of my favourite rallying partnerships, and maybe they'll be able to create a new one, possibly with Sebastien Ogier. We'll have to see. Jari-Matti possibly could be going back to M Sport as well. He's another candidate, of course, because he used to drive for, of course, Ford. He used to get quite a few wins back for Ford in the late 2000s, and before, of course, he moved to the VW team. Andreas Mikkelsen pretty much has had his whole career at the VW team, but it's definitely time, I think, for him to move on. He's 27 years old, he's ready to win championships in my opinion. He had a fantastic year last year, that was really his breakthrough year, and he's followed that through and had an even better season this year. He's definitely the second best VW driver, he's overtaken Jari-Matti in that regard. Latvala, though, I think still has quite a bit to give to WRC. I think that a different team would be very good for him. I think he got in a bit of a rut with VW, kind of being in Ogier's shadow. So I think we could see him possibly in Toyota, or possibly returning back to M Sport. Mikkelsen as well, possibly to Toyota, possibly to M Sport, possibly even to Citroën as well if they want to get Mikkelsen or Latvala. Particularly, I think Mikkelsen is, I think the order, of course, is Ogier is definitely a top priority, and then I think probably Mikkelsen and Latvala. Hope all 3 of them are on the grid next year. Possibly even a private VW team. This is something I was thinking about, but after reading the kind of rules for next year, they're just a bit wishy-washy about privateer teams using, 2017 cars. Could possibly Ogier get some funds together, get a team around him, and possibly use the 2017 VW car? That would be a really cool possibility. Possibly get Mikkelsen or Latvala on board as well, and run a 2-car kind of privateer team, which of course would still be very competitive, I am sure. And I really want to see Ogier in the championship next year with a different team. Of course, he's going to have to, now that VW have pulled out. And I hope we see Mikkelsen and Latvala on the grid as well. That'd be a major loss if we lost any of those 3. I mean, if any of them do leave, they're probably going to be going to the World RX Championship, of course. It would be quite cool to see Ogier in the Rallycross Championship, versus Sebastian Loeb and Petter Solberg. It kind of the WRC greats all facing off against each other would be pretty special. But I really do want to see Ogier in the WRC for quite a few more years, and then I'm sure he can join, the Rallycross hype train in a few years. He's still got a lot more to give to the WRC. Matt Salzberg, of course, I mentioned as well, and it's kind of like, where does he fit in? We got Ott Tanak, of course, who's was pretty much guaranteed to get that M Sport seat if you believe the rumours in Wales. However, of course, now with these 3 high-profile drivers being tossed into the free market, it looks like that Ott Tanak probably won't get that M Sport drive, because M Sport are probably going to bring in one of those VW refugees, which probably means that Ott Tanak's going to be staying with a DMAC team, which might not be too much of a bad thing. And WRC2, of course, contenders from this year, the likes of Timo Sunonen, Eskapeka Lappi, Elvin Evans, of course, could they find a way back into the WRC? Well, it's going to be a lot tougher for them now, of course, because there are going to be a lot less free seats, and this is one of the big shames, really, from VW pulling out. And we were going to have, I think, something like 16 entries into the WRC next year, and unfortunately now, off the top of my head, we're only going to get around 12 or 13. It's still, pretty good, still more than this year. But it'd be really cool to see 5 manufacturers. So maybe we'll see Sunonen or Lappi. I kind of feel like they're probably going to be with Toyota. I believe Sunonen, if I'm getting this right, was a Toyota test driver, or maybe still is. So it'd be pretty cool to see him there. Possibly, I hope one of them goes to the DMAC team. They seem like a pretty good team, I think, for young drivers to kind of learn the trade. And we'll probably see some of the privateers back as well next year. Possibly running in 2016 machinery, which will be a bit of a shame, I think. I mean, they're already at quite a big disadvantage, so I really hope that they manage to get 2017 machinery if they have the budget. But I guess it's still good to see them, I guess, in 2016. Valery Gorban, Martin Prokop, Lorenzo Patelli, all those kind of priorities that we really do love, and I think do make the WRC what it is. I think we definitely do need them, so I hope they do join the grid once again for 2017. I think Prokop has got a bit of love back now for the WRC after his fallout earlier in the year over the rules, which was a bit stupid. He was very hard done by, but I think he seems to have mended his relationship with the sports. So Citroën then, I mean, what are my predictions then? This is a really tough question, guys. You can leave your predictions for the 2017 season in terms of who will be driving where in the comment section below. Of course, Rally Monte Carlo will be starting in January, so we don't have very long to wait and find out who is where in 2017 and what these cars are going to be looking like, what they're going to be sounding like, and most importantly, which car is going to be fastest. Right, I'm going to make a bold prediction and say Ogier back to Citroën. It does make a lot of sense, and I think that we need a very quick Frenchman in that team, and Stefan Lefebvre isn't quite ready yet. I think that Ogier could possibly replace him, and then we could have Craig Breen and Chris Meek alongside him. That would be a formidable lineup. I felt like Ogier, of course, never fulfilled his potential at Citroën. Unfortunately, as soon as he started to win quite a few rallies, of course, he then moved to the VW team. So I think he's got a bit of an unfinished job at Citroën. So it'd be great to see Ogier going there, and then Breen and Lefebvre probably sharing the third seat there with Chris Meek doing a full campaign. Ogier then, of course, at Citroën then, and then I think Jari-Matti Latvala possibly going to the M Sport team alongside Eric Cammerly with Voigt Tanak and DMAC, with possibly Escobar Lappi, I would say, maybe Elvin Evans, maybe one of the WRC2 runners. Then I think at Toyota we got Juho Hannan, of course, already announced. Then I think I'm going to put in there Andreas Mikkelsen to really lead that team, and then possibly Teemu Suninen from the WRC2 to move up. So then that is pretty much my grid then. I'll probably finalise it in the description or in the comment section below, because it does take quite a bit of thinking about. I've been thinking about it all day and I still can't really finalise my predictions. It's very hard to predict, but we're giving it a go anyway, so we'll see what happens next year then. But whatever's for sure, it should be fantastically close next year now, even more close than it was before. Unfortunately, we will not be getting 5 manufacturers next year, but we've still got 4 manufacturers. We should have a great fight for both the Drivers and Constructors Championship. Expect lots more WRC videos very soon. Goodbye.